if the UK and Canada were the only two countries in the world that you had to choose one today, which one would you be choosing? Guys, welcome back to this series. In this video, we're going to talk about tax, right? TAX. Yes, so you know that when it comes to tax, a lot of people worry that, oh, will this country charge me a lot of tax? We'll talk about the tax calculation for the UK and compare it to Canada, or compare both of them. I'll show you guys on my screen so that you follow me through. I don't want to say, oh, this country pays more tax or this country pays more tax. I heard when I was in the UK that Canada is easier on the people when it comes to tax. But I'm about to show you guys so that you can come to that conclusion yourself if it is true or what we've been hearing is a lie.
So before we proceed, let me make some things clear. In the UK, your major deductions are basically your income tax or your national insurance. This is the mandatory deductions that you see on your slip. There are other deductions that people have, but these two are the mandatory ones. In Canada, however, they have about four, and this is the federal tax, the provincial tax, something they call the CPP contributions, and then the last one is the EI premium. Now, for this demonstration, we'll be using two amounts. We'll use £25,000 and then we'll use £55,000. And the reason we are using these two amounts is the £25,000 is not too much, is a figure that is considered okay, and 55,000 is kind of considered high. Now, if you live in London, you might not call this high, but generally speaking, £55,000 is a lot of money. Okay, now let's move forward. Here I'm going to be showing you guys a breakdown of someone who earns £25,000 and what their deductions will be. As you can see here where the arrow points, it says take home pay. So if you earn £25,000 in the UK, you're going to be taking home about £21,000, right? Now, because this is an online calculator, there's usually room for error. Depending on the calculator you use, you might see this figure slightly higher or slightly lower. So put that in mind or keep that in mind. Now, if you earn 21,000 or if you earn 25,000, you'll be taking home about £21,000, and that is for the year. If you want to get what the amount is for the month, you have to divide this by 12, and that gets you to about 1,752. If you earn weekly, it will be 404. Okay, I've gone ahead to convert the £25,000 using today's exchange rate, which is 1.7. So £1 today equals to 1.7 Canadian dollars, right? Now, having converted 25,000, what you will get is 42,500, and this is a breakdown for what someone who earns 42,500 will pay if they live in British Columbia. Now, I also need to mention that in Canada, different provinces pay different tax, or there are different tax rates for different provinces, right? And there is a whole lot of things to consider when you want to analyze this. But just keep in mind that depending on the province you are, your tax rate might either be higher or lower than someone else compared to where they are, or in comparison to where they are. Okay, we'll be using British Columbia and Nova Scotia. Guys, if I'm not getting this pronunciation right, Nova Scotia, tell me in the comment section right now. Okay, so let's go to BC. In BC, if you earn 42,500, your total tax will be about 7,873 for the year, which means you'll be taking home 34,627. Now, I know that we're not using the same currencies, but I'll still compare this in this video, so stay tuned or don't go anywhere. Okay, just keep these figures in mind. If you are living in Nova Scotia, let's say you're not living in BC, you're living in Nova Scotia and you earn 42,500, your tax will be 9,804. You can see that there's a difference of about $2,000 comparing someone who lives in BC to someone who lives in Nova Scotia. Okay, so Nova Scotia is among the highest paying tax rates. If you know someone in Nova Scotia, this is a good time to send them a hug because their amounts are crazy. Going down, you can see that after tax in Nova Scotia, you'll be getting 32,696. Now, let's head back to pounds to calculate the higher amount. Stay with me, guys. I know this is a lot of numbers, but we'll compare this at the end so that you understand it better. If someone earns 55,000 in the UK, they will be paying a tax of about 13,000 total tax, which means they will take home about 41,138 after all the deductions have been made, right? Now, for this amount, I also did the same thing that I did before and converted this to Canadian dollars, which means your 55,000 pounds is equal to your $93,500. These are the figures if someone lives in BC and earns this money. Whereas in this next slide, look here, after tax in BC is 70,000, right? Whereas in Nova Scotia is 64,000, which means there's a difference of what, about $6,000 if you live in BC and if you live in Nova Scotia. But that is not our comparison. Our comparison is between countries, right? So we're comparing UK and Canada. However, because the rates in Canada is not same all through the provinces, we've decided to use two. But not a problem. Let's compare all three so that we can have a better understanding of what this thing is. Up here, I've shown you the exchange rate, which is £1 to 1.7 Canadian dollars, right? And our 25,000 pounds is equal to our $42,500, while our 55,000 pounds is equal to our 93,500 Canadian dollars. We're talking money, guys. Pay attention. If I'm too fast, please feel free to take this back and watch over and over again so that you can understand. Remember that our goal is to determine which country pays higher tax, so that when someone comes to you and says this country pays higher tax, you can have your facts right. Okay, now see under the second column which says UK, the income is 25,000. The total deduction, which is the combination of your income tax and your NI, gives you 3,914. And when you take that off your money, you will get 21,000. This is done for the this same thing is done for British Columbia and Nova Scotia. You can see the figures on the same row, right? But something that I want you to take note of here is the percentage of tax deductions. Because looking at the figure, before we talk about the percentage, let's even talk about the numbers. If you do all this conversion and take it back to pounds, in the UK, someone who earns 25,000 will be going home with about 21,000, and someone who lives in British Columbia, if we convert back to pounds, will go home with 20,000 after British Columbia has done deduction, right? While someone who lives in Nova Scotia will go home with 19,000 after he has paid his tax, right? Now, looking at the percentage of the deductions to your entire income, in the UK is about 15%, in BC is about 18%, and in Nova Scotia is about 23%. Here, I've also gone ahead to do this table for you for easy understanding. I know some of us don't like numbers, so I've simplified this for you. For someone who lives in the UK and earns 55,000, using the same process, you will go home with 41,000 pounds, while someone who lives in BC will be going home with about 41,000 pounds, while someone who also lives in Canada but lives in Nova Scotia will go home with 40,000 pounds. If these figures are converted to pounds, you can see that I put the figures, the pound figures in brackets, but the other figures, which is the dollar figures, are what you see just beside it, right? Now, look at the deductions if you earn more. We already know, or if you do not know, this is a good time to know that if you earn more money, you pay more tax. Before I continue with this tax, guys, please give this video a thumbs up if you like this content. It will promote the channel, it will help the channel, and I will really appreciate it. Okay, so let's go back to our tax calculations. Looking at these figures, you can see that in the UK, someone who earns higher will pay 25,000, whereas someone who earned lower, 25,000, only had 15% deductions on their total income. If you earn higher, this increases to 25%. Someone in BC, however, will pay about the same thing even though they paid about 18% in the previous calculation we saw. So if they earn lower, they'll earn about, or they will be paying about 18% of their total amount. And then in Nova Scotia, this province, I don't know what to say to people living in this province, but take heart. Take heart. If you live in Nova Scotia, please put it down in the comment section so that we can start hugging you right now. This is a lot of money going out from your pay, but it is what it is, right? So guys, this is to note again. Let me mention that there is room for error because these calculations were not done manually. I used a calculator online, and this is something you can do yourself. You can just go to Google or online and just type, and there are lots of them that can help you calculate your tax so that you can have an idea of what you'll be paying if you lived in these provinces or in these countries. Okay, guys, again, I'll mention, please, if you have not liked this video, I really appreciate if you can just give it a thumbs up. Just click on the thumbs up icon right now. It helps a lot. Thank you, guys. Yes, so this is what it is. This is the calculations that I have done for you. These are figures that are very close to what it is, but I also need to mention that if you have other deductions going out of your pay, then you know that your figures will be lower because some people do other contributions that of course will reduce their take home pay. Okay, so that is something to note. A lot of people come online and say Canada pays more tax or UK pays more tax. You have seen now that it's not a straightforward thing. You can't just say a particular country pays more tax because it is dependent on two things or two major things. It might depend on other things, but two major things you need to know is that one, it depends on how much you're earning. Another thing you need to know is where you live. So even if you live in Canada, a very important factor is what province you live in.
So guys, we're back here. You have seen this for yourself. I am not the one who said it. It's all there. It's online. It's something you can check for yourself. So if someone says to you, this province pays more than this province, go online and check. This country pays more than this country. It's something you can check. If you have not joined this family, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click on the subscribe button. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up as it will support the channel, and you can share this with your friends as well. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, bye guys.